Welcome back to my 100-day drawing challenge 2020. Today is day number 11 and the prompt is Earth. So this prompt and the next 3 prompts are the 4 elements. So spoiler alert for the next couple of prompts. This was so nerve-wracking to embark on my very first little series of this year. So all the way through my 100-day drawing challenge there's a couple of little prompts that all match or go in a kind of set, and this is the very first set and it's the 4 elements. So this was a lot of pressure, or rather I was putting a lot of pressure on myself because I love designing the 4 elements prompts. I've really enjoyed it last year and the year before. I thought it was so fun. But I really wanted to step up the artwork this year. I really wanted these prompts to be better than last year. So the very first thing I did was I tried to decide what exactly I wanted to improve about these characters from last year. And then I sketched out a couple of rough thumbnail sketches on a separate sketchbook, just to kind of figure out what I wanted the 4 of these prompts to look like and what kind of things I wanted to be consistent among the 4 illustrations. So what did I want to be similar, what did I want to be different, just really decide how I wanted to redesign these characters. So the main thing I wanted to focus on was, in 2018 these drawings were quite action-y, in that I kind of gave each of the 4 of them a dynamic pose and had them like producing some kind of magical effect. And then last year I focused on improving the artwork to the best of my ability at that time and improving a little bit of the character design, but the poses were far less dynamic, and even though I gave them a kind of magical effect, it wasn't nearly as dramatic or dynamic, and instead they kind of just looked like they were posing, which was interesting to look back on. So this year my goal was to find a kind of happy balance between the 2 things of improving the artwork and also making the illustrations a lot more dynamic and posing the characters in a more dynamic way. So that's what I'm excited to attempt this year. Fingers crossed. I have no idea if I'm going to achieve that, but I can give it my best shot. So anyway, that's enough rambling about the kind of general 4 elements prompts. Let's talk about Earth. So right off the bat, the colour palette was easy to choose. I knew I wanted to use pretty much exactly the same colours as last year. I think they're perfect for the Earth prompt. A lot of greens, a lot of browns, that sort of thing. I also decided that I wanted to keep a consistent box in the background of each of the 4 of these illustrations just to tie them together, and I also knew I wanted to pose them as dramatically as possible in order to set them apart from last year. And I do like the sketch that I produced. It isn't perfect. I think with anything, as I went along I started to wonder whether it was good enough, but I really tried my best to make it a lot more dynamic than last year. I really struggled to decide what to do for her outfit. I decided to keep it simple. The 2 previous years she's had this kind of leaf dress thing going on, and I didn't do that this year. I really was conflicted about whether to do it or not. But this year I decided to have so much else going on. So her pose is a lot more dynamic. She's got one hand like up in the air and one pointed down at the ground. She has these vines around her arms. But I decided to keep the outfit simple this year. I just gave her a dress. It's pretty basic, but I thought just because there was so much else going on, that kind of magical effect flowing around her, and her hair is so much bigger and she has these vines wrapped around her arms and all this stuff is going on, I just wasn't sure whether doing too detailed of a dress was just doing too much, because it's already pretty visually kind of heavy. I love the fact that her hair has gotten progressively bigger and poofier among the 3 years. It started out quite small in 2018 and then I made it a bit more dramatic last year, and this year I just went even bigger. Her hair is growing much longer and getting much bigger, and I think it's so cool. I love the hair so much. I gave her Earth earrings that are actually like a globe. I thought that would be a cute touch. And I love her eyes too. I think I really wanted her eyes to be a kind of focal point. I wanted them to be really bright and noticeable as soon as you look at the image, and I think I managed to achieve that actually, because I coloured them this really bright lime green colour and then I went around her eyes with the green coloured pencil, which I did last year as well, almost as though she's wearing green makeup, and I think it gives this really cool effect. And the like ground is cracking beneath her like in the 2018 illustration. The only real complaints that I would have with it is the ground. I wish it was just one consistent block colour instead of the way that I left it, and also just little things like having the hair blowing more to one side so you can see that arm better. I also think that magical effect, as much as I love it, it didn't show up quite as boldly as I would have liked. I wish I'd planned it a bit better so that I could have coloured underneath where the magic was going to go with a paler colour just to make it pop more. I hope that makes sense. But this was one of the times where I kind of wish I'd had a bigger page to work on, because I really think I could have pushed the pose a little bit more and had that magic effect taper out nicely, because as it stands, everything is hitting the sides and the corners of the page, and so it seems really kind of messy and squished into the middle, which I don't think that the pose is actually that bad, but it could have been better if I'd had more space to work with. Please, please, please comment and let me know what you think, and let me know which of the 4 elements is your favourite. I'm going to be posting the other 3 over the next 3 days, so look forward to that. And I hope that they all end up okay and they look good as a set. And I'm nervous, I now have to design the other 3. I have one down. I have to now figure out what I'm going to draw for the other 3. Wish me luck. That's all for today. If you're interested, there's a link to the full challenge playlist on screen and in the description. Subscribe if you'd like to keep up with me completing this challenge, and I'll see you tomorrow for another prompt. Take care.